Flyover State of Film was shot in front of a live studio audience.
Welcome to Flyover State of Film. This is our penultimate holiday episode of the decade, and I have my boys here with me to discuss some fun stuff today. I got Yusuf, TJ, and Brian. Crack them drinks.
Hello.
That's going everywhere.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I know Hanukkah's starting soon, so happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa.
Now, I don't know much about Hanukkah, but isn't Hanukkah not even in like the top 3 most important Jewish holidays? Aren't there like several Jewish holidays that they consider like a bigger deal? It just so happens that Hanukkah's the one everybody knows about because it's close to Christmas.
Kind of. I mean, it's like it's become its importance, but yeah, there's more of like I think like
I don't know their name, but isn't it the one that they don't eat for like a day? I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Passover?
Passover.
I think that's the biggest one for them.
So, welcome to Jew Talk.
You know a lot about Jewish traditions.
We're obviously lacking in representation. We don't have a Jewish person to ask about this. It's a fucking embarrassment.
Only they.
I just don't want to misspeak about like the importance of Hanukkah, but I believe it's
no. Go ahead, make some sweeping generalizations based on what I said. I think it's fine.
Happy holidays.
We saw a movie once. And,
I mean, whatever. I may have heard something on a television show and based my whole knowledge around it. I don't know.
We watched Entourage, and there's a Passover episode there, and that's all we need to know.
Does all of my Jewish knowledge come from the Rugrats holiday specials and Adam Sandler? Yes.
But you know what? That's fair, though. It's better than nothing, right?
At least you're trying, Joe.
Yeah,
right?
Okay. So speak.
Learn. I know the Hanukkah song too, so I feel like we're all like part of that together.
So speaking of Jews, J.J. Abrams is.
My God, what a transition! 3 points from the corner.
So I just want to get, but Rise of Skywalker comes out this week. This episode's going to drop either day of its release or before, but none of them have seen it yet.
Everybody's not going to watch Star Wars because they have to listen to us.
Yes. Well,
they don't have to worry. They can watch this, but they can listen to this before they go to the movie now because there's no spoilers because we haven't seen it yet. So you're safe to go ahead and get your flyover in before you go see Star Wars. Prioritize.
Mm-hmm. So do you guys have any like bold predictions? That's going to happen in the movie?
Well, I wanted to focus more on the other thing you were talking about in the pre-show notes, because we're very professional, about can it live up to expectations? I think obviously the answer there is no, at least not for everyone. Some people are really going to like it. Like, I'm very worried that they're going to like over course correct and try to like, I don't know, either walk the line between being a good sequel to Last Jedi, but also like not pissing anybody off, and it'll end up fucking it up. That's what I'm like most worried.
I think it's gonna be kind of picking on you said. I think it's gonna be like I think it's going to be a really satisfying movie that, like everything else in Star Wars, is going to be so read into that it's not gonna be, because it is going to try to satisfy. It's trying to wrap up 9 movies. There's a lot of toxicity around it. I think on a critic level, some of it is going to get falsely hate it because they're going to be trying to, like, of course, critic-wise, defend Rian Johnson when it's like you don't have to do that. You're just like bringing your own shit into this movie. But I think the movie's gonna be fun.
I'm just worried. Can they close all the stories and also explain like the Cloverfield paradoxes within the saga as well? Like, I need everything to be.
You need all the answers
together. You gotta tie up all those
I need all the
ends.
fucking answers.
Yeah. It needs to be its own movie. It needs to end its own trilogy. It also needs to wrap up 9 movies, and it needs to tie up any loose ends. But I mean, no pressure or anything. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I don't know if anyone has watched The Mandalorian yet. But supposedly, well, the rumor is that it's coming out on Wednesday instead of Friday.
It is, yeah.
Because it might have something to do with Rise of the Skywalker.
Oh, I just figured they wanted to get that those sweet views in before their whole audiences are out.
Wait.
I don't think it would have changed it.
I guess I haven't seen it. I thought this was.
It's 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
Right, so this would be before the, so it could be a character who's in The Mandalorian, somebody we end up seeing in the movies, or I don't know. It's going to be Carl, that girl. I'll tell you what, that girl John Boyega is hanging out with is going to be Carl Weathers' daughter. That's what it's going to be. And we're going to get old man Carl Weathers.
I mean, all white people are related, so 9. I guess all black people should be related.
That's actually not a bad
that's only an argument when you're talking about Lando, because Carl Weathers is a new character. I can say that they're related because they're both new.
And not the same race.
I mean, expectation-wise, the one thing I expect is that I'm going to hate Twitter for...
I'm already hating it now.
Yeah.
It's brutal already. Yeah.
I
don't get Twitter's mute function because I've muted all the Star Wars hashtags and they still fucking popping up because apparently Star Wars has a bunch of hashtags for Rise of Skywalker, and I'm a little upset about it. Not because anything's been spoiled, because, like, what's the point of your function if I can't properly mute words like Star Wars, Skywalker?
Mm-hmm.
Sex.
Those are definitely things you need to mute.
So are you guys going to see it this weekend? I don't know. I may watch it either Sunday or Friday.
Yeah,
I actually bought tickets for Sunday, and I'm going to go Sunday.
I will be going.
Tell you what, for all the talk about, I don't know how it's going to do, blah, 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 fucking... all the good, decent seats were booked up in all the theaters all day Saturday already. Like, the only thing that was left was front rows and, off outskirts on the edges. All the good core seats when you look to reserve were all taken. So, I don't think they're going to have any problem financially. I feel like there's good, bad, or ugly. They're going to make their money.
I think they always do great opening weekends is when they taper off that stage.
Well, my boss...
Solo.
Well, it was funny. My boss was like talking about she's not into any of this shit, but she was talking about taking her daughters to go see Frozen 2 this weekend. I was like, she's like, yeah, it's playing every half hour. I was like, yeah, it's not gonna be this weekend. It'll be like every hour and a half.
But it would be great counter programming though.
Bombshell.
Nobody's gonna be watching.
That's what Cats is for, buddy.
Cats
Bombshell. That's the counter.
No, but I'm saying it's a great plan. Like, nobody's gonna be in that fucking theater, so yeah, go watch Frozen.
Well,
I don't think.
And how many dollars go to Disney? All of them.
Dude. Yep. Oh, speaking of that, Cats is gonna bomb because of Star Wars.
That's what I thought.
That's kind of what it seems
last
like.
year. Well, 2 years ago.
Well, when I remember The Force Awakens came out and it had the best counter programming because it made that movie Sisters like a low-key hit.
Was it that or was it Bad Moms?
No, it was Sisters.
Was it Sisters?
I will bet on the pod my left nut it was Sisters.
Well, that's the bad one though. We had to have that one checked out.
No, Joe's left-handed, right?
No.
Yeah, but Last Jedi was Jumanji, and Jumanji ended up being like a huge hit.
Yeah.
Jumanji had legs though.
I don't think. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't. think
look at those rock legs.
That's true.
I think that's just the thing of the holidays. Like, I didn't go see Jumanji this weekend, but I'm going to be off work. Me and my kid will go see it eventually, I did watch Robin Williams' Jumanji this weekend, though.
Nice. I have a bold prediction.
Also a Christmas movie, just in case you don't remember, ends with a Christmas party.
Oh.
I want to see Uncut Gems. What?
I do want to see. I want to see a lot of movies this holiday season. I have a bold prediction, though, about Star Wars.
Whatever movie.
About Star Wars is I actually feel like the way, speaking of the internet and like the way this shit's been around it, is I feel like the same reactions we'd be having if Star Wars was like as popular right before The Force Awakens had come out. So I think The Force Awakens would be just as divisive as these other fucking movies, but it came out at a time where people were really like, "Oh shit, I haven't experienced this yet."
They were just desperate to see like what like they consider what looked like old school Star Wars.
Yeah.
They were like, this doesn't look like the prequels. This looks like the Star Wars I remember. It's a fine, passable, soft reboot of A New Hope. Yes, I'm into this. And then it was so happy that people made people think that Rogue One was okay. Like Rogue One got to ride a wave of goodwill. Like nobody even questioned it. And then Last Jedi came out, which I think is a legitimate masterpiece and is an
really
excellent movie. And I don't know, man. It's like I watched a different movie from some people. I can't.
It's wild. You know what's a problem? It's like, this is really counterproductive. It shows like fucking, let's have a Star Wars show every week. Let's do this. Let's ride the coattails. Let's speculate on fucking like people like blinking. And that was like feeding into this Last Jedi, and they're like, oh, maybe we did ruin it for ourselves.
No shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tons of complaints I always see are just that people are disappointed it didn't happen the way they want it to happen, with like no critique of what the movie actually is or was doing or like on its own merits. But I don't want to talk about Last Jedi anymore.
And that's why
I probably don't want to talk about Rise of Skywalker.
That's why I think I will like Rise of Skywalker, because I only watched one trailer, and I'm going in basically blind because that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. I haven't watched very much about it either, and I'm going in. And like I said, I just don't have any desire to talk about it. I'll watch it. I'll have my own opinion. We'll probably talk about it, but I don't see myself like engaging on Twitter about it at all.
Speaking of that, if you guys are feeling bad about The Last Jedi, what is a good Christmas movie you put on to make yourself feel better?
TJ.
Give you the warm fuzzies. It's a hell of a segue.
I mean, I could just go with the classic one that won our bracket last year, Christmas Story. That always makes you feel good. Christmas Eve, 24 hours, you have to do it. Me and the family do it. But also, like, Tim Allen's Santa Claus. That's one of those things, too. It's just like
racist asshole.
That is a feel-good movie, though, dude.
It's like one of those things. Actually, on a rewatch, it's not that. Okay, so maybe not that. You know what? Jack Frost.
So you want to watch
the Michael Keaton one?
Yeah, the Michael Keaton.
God, TJ.
What?
It just, the Jack Frost. He's such a piece of shit.
But his voice is so magical.
And he's just an okay dad. Like, he's not that big of a piece of shit to get redemption either.
He has like a snowball fight, right? Remember?
Any dad.
All these movies we're going to talk about, I'm sure, have snowball fights.
Yeah, and any dad who comes home from a trip and being away from his kid and missing a hockey championship and brings a present is okay with me.
No, you don't bring a present. It's not a redemption. That's not redemptive. That is bullshit parenting.
No, my favorite.
I didn't
be your own father, Brian.
I bought you something instead. That's terrible.
No, but my favorite moment.
He makes him an ice hockey stick.
My favorite fucking moment of that thing, though, what TJ is talking about, is that he gives him that harmonica, says it's a special harmonica, and then he's like, I just made that up. Like, it's not a special harmonica.
Shitty ass, terrible.
If you want really good Jack Frost content, I especially do love that movie. Listen to the How Did This Get Made for Jack Frost. It is my favorite How Did This Get Made.
Isn't that the one with the Rick and Morty creator?
Yeah, Dan Harmon's like really good on it.
And Friday After Next, guys. Friday After Next is a great Christmas movie.
Dude, but you're taking all the picks, man.
Sorry.
Jeez.
All the classics.
So I want to ask one more question about Jack Frost.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him just being like, yeah, I'm ready to go, when he could live in that mountain for like a good 6 months?
Man, when you gotta go, you gotta go. I bet you could just.
He's a fucking deadbeat dad. He was sick of being that was the most parenting Jack Frost had ever done. He was like, you know what? I gotta get the fuck out of here. He's like, I'm gonna hit the liquor store real quick and then I'm gone. Peace out, guys.
He looks
Stop heading home.
He sees his wife for 5 seconds as he's being ascended to heaven and just goes, "You look great."
Why did he get to go to heaven though? That's such a weird.
You know, the worst part of that movie is his stupid little hat, right? Like.
That mom was hot.
How does that
Fucking-
hat stay on?
Fucking Robert Baratheon was banging her.
Oh yeah, his best friend. That's a shame. Why you wrong?
It's been a
All
while.
right,
since
who's
I've-
next?
It's harsh.
What do you
Brian. Me.
Me?
Me?
Who?
Who?
got? Either one doesn't.
Scrooge. I want to watch Scrooge, man.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Because Scrooge, some of these movies, like, I thought about Home Alone, but Home Alone is just so fucking upbeat, like, from start to finish. Yes, it has, oh, I'm sad, my family's not here. But for the most part, it's just like, it's just 120 miles per hour. And, every now and again, you feel down or you're angry at life, and you need that cynicism, that fucking Bill Murray.
And Scrooge
energy.
has some nice emotional moments,
Yeah,
too.
no, I'm saying,
it's got
like,
some
Scrooge-
beats.
That's why Scrooge is like my go-to in the sense that if I'm happy, if I'm angry, if I'm sad, I always connect to that movie. I don't know why. I mean, it's not the best movie in the world. It's a solid
Also has our
classic.
girl Carol Kane we were just talking about from
Yeah.
Sisters Brothers.
Yeah.
Killing it.
That's true. Oh fuck. Oh, and I always forget his name. The guy the taxi driver.
Taxi
the
driver.
ghost.
So good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That actor, I can't remember his name either. Nick something, I think. That's
with the
terrible.
voice?
Something. That's fucking awful.
No.
And also, I love it because at least as a kid now, maybe it doesn't hold so much importance, but as a kid, I've always been fascinated by movies and by TV shows and seeing that aspect of the making of the thing and him being like this douchebag executive that is buying towels when he could easily afford like a better gift.
And I feel like we talked about it last year in our bracket, but also one of the best fourth wall breaks in any movie ever. Like lots of movies break the fourth wall in the end and stuff and try to do that. That's one of the best ones when he starts singing with the crowd and stuff. I wish I could have seen that in the theater. That would have been amazing.
Yeah. It's a fun movie. Like it really grabs you no matter if you're pissed off. Like I'm just gonna watch this asshole get his comeuppance.
Scrooge is a black spot on my watching meeting. I've only seen it once. Is Bobcat Goldthwait in it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he plays like
that's a top 5. That's a top 5 pick for me too. Like, I haven't watched it yet this year. It's like leading up to Christmas. I'll probably watch it a couple times over the Christmas break, but I haven't gotten to it yet. I've been kind of like working my way up. You get your outsiders. You watch those first, then you work your way up to your core group. At least that's how I do.
To your miracles.
That's
Brian. What's yours then?
I was gonna be a basic bitch just like TJ and say Christmas Story because obviously I grew up with that movie. I fucking lived up there where they filmed it, and so it was like a local legend already. And but there's another movie I connected with when I was young, and I didn't get back to it. I had been away from it for like 10 years. I know we talked about it last year because we talked about all these movies, but fucking Muppet Christmas Carol, man.
Ooh,
holy shit, what a great, like, Scrooge is amazing. And then like when I want my sweet, like kind of more traditional, like I gotta go with Muppet Christmas Carol. That's how I like my Christmas Carol, man. And there's so many, the songs are great. The puppets, some of the like the new puppets, the guy who's the Ghost of Christmas Present, the great big giant, I love that dude.
Yeah,
that's amazing. And Michael Caine acts his ass off in that. Like he 100% treats it like a real Christmas Carol. He never like plays it, like he's doing a Muppet movie.
Consistent pro.
Absolutely. He gives it double what he gives Jaws the Revenge.
But not as much as Goldmember.
No, well, I mean, come on, you can only push it so far.
That actually is my kind of like Joe's. I've only watched it once, but it's a vivid memory of how much I enjoyed it.
It's on, I think it is on Disney Plus now, right?
I think Disney so. Plus.
So that's a nice.
But yeah, like I said, I watched it a ton when I was younger, and then like for some reason I didn't have a copy or whatever, so it wasn't until last year that I finally got it on Blu-ray, and I probably watched it 3 or 4 times last Christmas, and I'll get it. It jumped immediately back into my top 5 Christmas movies. Like
it's something you don't really see around the Christmas time on TV either.
No.
It was hard to find. Like I said, I think the reason I didn't have it was because it was kind of hard to track down. I think maybe it was in the Disney vault for a while,
You might be right. I feel like they were just like, Treasure Island. You're going to watch Treasure Island. And it's like, no.
Fucking enjoy it.
I get it. We like Tim Curry, but give me that Christmas Carol, baby. Daddy
Hey
needs.
TJ, what are you watching? I'm trying to decipher it
He's
through
watching
your
the Flyers.
poster.
I'm not watching anything. We're talking to you guys.
What are you watching? I'm trying to decipher.
So, what I like to watch? Originally I was gonna say Elf, but I want to move on to one that I actually always makes me in a good mood and is much newer, and that is The Night Before. I fucking love that movie.
I have never seen that.
And to me, it's a ton of fun. It's one of those movies that doesn't have a lot of heart, but also is like, yeah, I want to drink like 30 beers with like my buddies and go out a night on the town and just have a great time.
Which one is that one?
With Seth Rogen.
Oh yeah, Michael Shannon.
Just Gordon-Levitt, right?
Yeah,
Anthony
Michael
Mackie.
Shannon. Yes.
Michael Shannon kills it in that movie.
Yeah. To me, it's a bona
Somehow I
fide
never got around. That's just a blind spot for me.
Christmas classic. If I have the digital copy, Brian.
No, I'll give you my Voodoo account because I have his digital copy.
Oh, you do? I love that movie. I mean, it's just just for like the modern Christmas movies, it's like a fun, appropriately raunchy a Christmas movie that
and Seth Rogen is Jewish.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen has some good Jew moments.
Anthony Mackie
steals every movie he's in, and I am a big proponent of Anthony Mackie.
Cut the check.
But really, Michael Shannon is the scene stealer.
He's hilarious.
And to me, it's truly a funny movie. Lizzie Kaplan's in it.
It's got a great cast, like small comedians.
Is Hot Tub Time Machine a Christmas movie?
No, just like a winter.
No, it's just a winter movie.
We'll be talking about Hot Tub Time Machine later. Don't worry. It's funny you mentioned that.
Okay.
Funny you should mention.
I do really like. But I also like Elf is in that same category as like
for sure.
On, and immediately it starts playing and go, oh yeah, I forgot how overplayed this movie was because it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Elf hate comes from it just being overplayed for like the
I'm not a big Will Ferrell fan. I just love that fucking movie.
I mean, I think
that's one I saw one time. I was like, this is fine, but it didn't like break into my regular rotation. So I was just like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
My wife is a huge fan of that movie. She's a huge Will Ferrell fan, actually. But
you'll be able to get the Flyover Elf shirt from after this recording.
Whoa, man! Come on, give Ryan a break. He's already bought so many shirts from us.
Oh,
I think he likes La La Land too. He can
buy them all. Oh wait, he hasn't. Anyway, so
I think Elf would be better if they redo it, but it's Ron Burgundy doing Buddy.
Then he could have his own podcast too.
He just smacks blonde Zooey Deschanel's ass every time she walks by. Oh, don't you just love the holiday season?
No more of her, please.
I was like blown away when I realized that was her like years later. I was like, wait, she's the girl from Elf?
I got blown away when I realized she's from Yes Man.
She's good.
Like, wait, she's from Yes Man?
Also,
wait, she's from 500 Days of Summer?
Why is that
very
James Caan's last good movie?
What?
I feel like it's like James Caan has not popped up in anything since like 2004's Elf, and he's great in that movie.
So we're gonna talk about best of the decade. Not best of the decade. I'm tired of people proclaiming what's best and what's worst. We're gonna talk about what movie of this past decade you've actually consumed the most. Meaning the one that you go to either by choice or forced by your kid. What movie do you watch the most? Joe, what's up?
All right, yeah. So I just have like a few kind of like random answers. It's really hard to actually peg down what was watching most. Kind of mentioned earlier, and I came down to right from 2010, Hot Tub Time Machine. I've seen that movie so many times. It's if I'm like scrolling through like HBO like on demand or whatever, it's the one I'm like, well, I guess I'll just put Hot Tub Time Machine on. It's thoroughly enjoyable. It's hysterical. And it's weirdly like I kind of broke it down to like serious, like it's compared to like that. To, like if there was a serious movie I've seen a ton, it's Nightcrawler. I've probably watched that a good like
I watched it
times since it's come out. That and then probably also Goosebumps. But like Hot Tub Time Machine was first. Like Goosebumps, I watch that fucking movie anytime, and its sequel.
Hot Tub Time Machine, I think, is underrated. It's good.
It's
I will proclaim.
And you know what?
it to
Hot
be
Tub
a
Time Machine
great
2 isn't that
comedy.
bad either. It's fine.
yeah, it's okay. Adam
Well-
Scott does his best.
I don't know why.
Well, I like that they tried something with it. I remember like watching that one and be like, you know what? They like could have gone a little easier route, but they like had an idea and they wanted to give it a shot. So I gave them a couple extra points for that.
And Hot Tub Time Machine is definitely the last time John Cusack was good.
Yeah, and Robert
Like-
Corddry's the best.
Yeah, Rob Corddry's that's like where that to me was like, oh shit.
I think about
who's this guy?
Motley Lou every time I hear a
Yeah.
Motley Crue song. Like,
So
that's
funny.
so funny.
He turned
That's-
Google to
That's
Lugal.
when I saw that movie yesterday was coming out. I was like, oh, they just stole that from Hot Tub Time Machine. That's what that's what Lou did. He went back and stole the music like that. That's just that they lifted their like campy like heartfelt Beatles plot from this.
I'd take a shotgun to the dick.
The scene that always kills me is the guy from The Office. Fuck, the singer
Craig.
Craig.
Yeah.
Crying in the bathtub because he's cheating on his wife, and then he calls her and she's like a 4-year-old.
Child yelling at her over the phone.
He calls her. He's like, "This doesn't concern you, Maurice." Fucking father.
Always kills me. It's so fucking funny.
To me, that is like, it's completely, it's so rewatchable. It's completely underrated. What about you, Brian?
Ooh, you know, I did have the caveat that if it was a movie that like my son made me watch, probably like Spider-Man: Homecoming is up there as one I've had to watch the most
No.
from this decade. But for ones I watched myself, you know, I like my big budget spectacles. So for me, it was like, and I love my franchises. So it was like Prometheus is a big one I've watched a lot of times. Pacific Rim, the first Pacific Rim, I've watched that movie.
Really?
I can't count. I just love. Oh, I love it.
That's
I sit down and watch
fun
Pacific
movie.
Rim
Really?
anytime.
Okay.
Blasty blast.
Yeah.
You know what? Prometheus, that is one where I will put that in my column as a heavily watched movie of the decade as well. We've talked multiple times about this movie. Like, I just remember seeing it and like falling in love with that movie and being
That's
so
a Christmas
surprised
movie.
by
Nitpick
them.
the shit out of the Alien franchise. They can't let themselves like enjoy the movie at all. It's really frustrating. There's so much good stuff in Prometheus and in Alien Covenant, but Prometheus especially is like a really well made and plotted and put together and like strong ideas and strong themes. And then people are like,
Visually
Charlize Theron didn't run sideways, so the movie's bad.
Dude, it was
Like,
just
all right. Well, I'm
brought
just
up.
gonna have to go now. Like I can't.
Macaulay Culkin just referenced it on the fucking recent Best
Yeah,
of the
I know.
Worst, and I was like, hey, man, give the movie credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And then the other one I would say definitely, and this is of my own volition, not even my son, Captain America: Civil War. I've watched that a ton.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Marvel movies. I think it's a really great blockbuster. Feels very comic booky.
Two strong
That and Winter
intros,
Soldier.
Black Panther and Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, TJ?
Mine are like, believe it or not, fall more into like movies that I hate watch. So I end up watching them so much. And I'm going to bring up a movie that I talk about all the time, but I see it all the time because I watch TBS and TNT, and these movies are constantly on there.
How old
What?
are you, man?
Jag? You watch a lot of Jag?
Yeah, tons of Jag and SVU, especially.
Wings.
NCIS. In between episodes of NCIS and JAG, I check these movies out.
The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, but I mean, of the decade, what I've watched the most, The Dark Knight Rises. That's just
I thought you were gonna save that one for disappointments.
no. I'll buckle it in there into disappointments too. After what he's did with I'm not a huge Christopher Nolan fan. The other movie I have here is his too. But the first two movies, everyone knows are great. Class in this way. This movie dropped the ball in so many fucking ways. But I just can't help but watch it all the time. And I get the same amount of anger. There's no revelation where you're like, you know what? I might like this time. There's none.
It doesn't. You don't
It doesn't
soften.
happen.
It just keeps boiling it up.
You know what the definition of insanity is?
Could be. I mean, there are moments in it that I can like and enjoy. He knows how to shoot a movie, which I give him with the next one that I picked. Another one that I've seen a million times. I don't like it that much, but Christopher Nolan can use a camera and shoot the shit out of it. Interstellar.
I love Interstellar.
Yeah, I didn't like Interstellar.
I don't think it's a good movie. My favorite part of it, though, is the wave planet. It's just one of those things to where it's a thrilling 15-minute segment. And you're like, oh, that's awesome. And then the rest of the movie and the science of it, you're like, what the fuck is happening? But you watch it so much. Again, I watch it sometimes just to see if I can get it.
I'm a big fan of the score in that movie. I think it's one of the best modern scores in film.
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't know who does it.
That was Inception.
Blah. There's blahs in Interstellar. You know there are.
There is. There's a lot of ticking clock. No, dude.
Uses Anne Hathaway very well in this one compared to Dark Knight Rises.
Interstellar has its flaws, 100%. But Dark Knight Rises, I mean, but why?
Have I watched?
I was gonna say, are there any movies that you rewatch that you like?
Yeah. That's like I want to know what you like.
What's the movie you watch the most that you enjoy from this decade? That's not a hate watch.
Yeah, the one I've watched the most, which I have watched a non-stop when that first came out, was Infinity War. I watched Infinity War so many fucking times.
We're watching that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I watched Infinity War a lot too.
Yeah, you can start at any point. I mean, you skip the Scarlet Witch and Vision scene until they get into that fight.
Standalone TJ's terrible tastes, Infinity War is a lot more rewatchable to me than Endgame is.
Yeah. I like Endgame, and I like obviously I don't have the same problems with the TJ does, but I agree that it's a much more rewatchable movie for sure.
Yeah.
So, but that is really interesting though. So you're not only watching like Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar, you're rewatching them with commercials on cable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in those moments in between, like during the commercials when he tweets about how mad he is about how bad the movie
exactly
is.
What it is. And then it starts back and I'm like, okay, I'll do this with you again.
See, I like those.
Now, I want to hear what pretentious ass nonsense Yusef's going to drop of this hoity-toity. Well, I mostly sit around and watch foreign films over and over so I can get the deep sense. He's just here waiting on us. We're all throwing out our popcorn takes, and he just can't wait to just get his whyilovemovies.com 2 cents.
No, I'm sorry that I know how to read fucking subtitles, man. I find it hard to rewatch new movies.
God,
it's really tough.
No, because I watch a lot of Frasier. I watch Frasier, Friends, The Office, Parks. I don't know. I find it hard to pop in a movie again. So I was looking at lists that people did on the internet, and every now and again I was like, oh yeah, I've seen them. So there's a couple of them that I watched maybe 4 or 5 times. Like La La Land's one of them. Blade Runner, Her, Drive. I've watched 5 times, but then I stumble upon one and I'm like, fuck, obviously. And that is Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows 1 and 2.
Wow,
my wife and I are, I'm a fan. She's a huge fan. So every fucking year we do at least 1 or 2 marathons. We're currently on a marathon right now. We're gonna watch Half-Blood Prince now. So probably in a couple days I'm gonna rewatch Deathly Hallows for probably the 25th time. It's a great conclusion to a solid series. It has its ups and downs, it has its flaws, but it has those 2 last movies has an emotional weight, and it gives a lot of satisfaction to the fans, and the effects are awesome. The acting is slightly better than the other movies. They're never great.
My only thing with those, I wish there would. I just feel like those last, including Half-Blood Prince, the last 3 movies could have been edited to balance those 3 movies better. I feel like there's a lot packed into Half-Blood Prince. There's kind of a lot of open area to fit some more space, fit some more activity into first part of Deathly Hallows, and then again part 2 is 2-packed, so I feel like that could have been balanced better. Yeah. They're all good, and I do think that the overall quality of the Harry Potter series doesn't get talked about enough. It's pretty solid and pretty consistent.
And I think it's one of the
really
rare movies.
solid.
one of the rare franchises that actually
Good Christmas
knew.
movies too.
Yeah, the 1st
Mhm.
one for sure.
Mhm.
They
ABC
knew,
Family milks that shit.
Oh yeah, they do Potterton every fucking year. But they knew how to grow up with the audience. Like the franchise evolved with its audience. Like it got.
I mean, to be fair, after Prisoner of Azkaban, that really set the tone.
Oh
Most of
yeah,
the movies after that
Alfonso
are
Cuarón,
basically
you know, the
in that
fucking
same
foreigner
vein.
that you're shitting on.
I didn't say I was shitting on him. He did
Oh
a good
yeah, you were
job.
like pretentious because he doesn't know how to speak English.
No, that doesn't make you pretentious if you don't know how to speak English.
Can I ask you, were you like really disappointed in the Fantastic Beasts films? I know I was. I'm not even a big.
That movie is like.
I'm not even a fan.
I didn't see this. I didn't even see the second one. I was like, nope, I'm just not gonna see this.
No, yeah.
I watched it on HBO recently, and it's honestly unwatchable.
Yeah,
And it takes a lot to get me to give up on a franchise because I'm a guy who's like, all right, well, The Predator was shit, but guess what? It's $10 on Blu-ray, so it's going on the shelf.
But yeah, no, it's I think it's because I feel like I got sold a false bill of goods. In that it at first it was gonna be like, oh, this is just this asshole that mumbles, and it's gonna be Finding Beast. And I was like, all right, cool, fine. Maybe we'll stumble upon cool adventures along the way. And then nope, psych. Watch Dumbledore, I fuck Johnny Depp. Like, oh, what the fuck is this shit? It's a fucking prequel now, so it's kind of stupid. I don't like it.
All they had to do was not cast Eddie Redmayne and just someone with some charisma, and that movie.
Somehow
they need to not cast Johnny Depp too. Johnny Depp's a fucking anchor.
Well, that is a completely.
Career, like,
they should. It honestly should have just stayed Colin Farrell, and you.
I don't understand how he keeps.
Yeah, Colin Farrell would have been great.
Colin Farrell's a beast. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of good movies. But when I was like looking for disappointments, it kind of find it hard because I'm kind of like Brian in the sense that I know what I'm not gonna like or like. Every now and again, I'm surprised. Like,
See, what pisses me off with Fantastic Beasts is that she's gonna get her 5 movies.
Yeah, there's money.
I don't think so. I think they'll do one more, and if it doesn't do really well, they'll move to like a streaming service or something. It won't be full movies.
But I was thinking about disappointments, and I couldn't remember one, and then I was looking at lists again, and I saw Elysium.
Oh, that was very disappointing.
Good one.
I was so disappointed in that movie
that's a good
because
one.
that District 9 hype wave rode all
District
the
9's
way.
still amazing.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, but man, did in the trailer sold it very well, and you're like, oh yeah, it's Charlton Copley again, and I like Mike Damon, and Jodie Foster. And I'm like, yeah, this could be good, and then
And the premise is cool, and it's something like it had that same dystopian feel of District 9 of like something that could happen, but like slightly altered future. Like, I was the same as you. I was up for it, and then I remember watching it. I was like, first of all, Matt Damon's like this miserable piece of shit character, and like he hates his life, and then he gets like a virus, and then all of a sudden he wants to live, and I'm like, nothing about this character would make you think he would want to live. He would just lay down in a ditch and die. He's like they spend the first whole like half an hour of the movie talking about what a shit life he has and how he hates it. It's like he would just give up. Like, why is he trying to live?
Well,
the premise is just bad from jump.
It's the same thing with his Blomkamp's other like really disappointing failures. And like in Chappie, it had the same thing where like, oh, this movie could be fun and cool, and I also
that movie
those
had
trailers were
Diantwerp in it.
good.
That was the problem. It was like, we're gonna focus this movie on Diantwerp for some reason.
Right. You know what? I forget how true Yusuf is. Like, right though, is how exciting the trailers for Elysium looked.
Yeah, it looked fantastic, especially from the mind that brought you District 9, and you're like, fuck. I remember going to District 9 completely blind and walking out like, that fucking movie rocked, and like I can't wait to see more.
That's so good that even though the dude hasn't made another good movie, people
still has
talking about
credit.
handing him franchises left and right.
Did he do the hardcore Harry thing or Henry thing?
No, I think he
Shelton
produced
Copley's
it.
in that, but it was not the same guy.
No. The other one that was disappointing, at least to me, it was Tomorrowland.
That was really disappointing too. Brad
I'm
Bird.
a fan of Brad Bird, and I'm like, oh yeah, Brad Bird, and the premise looked original enough, and but at least the first teaser trailer was a legit good sell when she like touches the coin and she jumps to that was a great sell.
Changes when she's holding it. That was real solid.
And that's Brad Bird off the heels of the best Mission Impossible movie.
Yep.
At the time.
Yep. So yeah, that was another disappointment for me.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I feel like we're like this, like there's been a lot more disappointed where it's like I don't even get excited anymore.
Yeah, I get excited by names and by roles now.
Yeah.
But
my disappointments usually stem from where like somebody like or like a group of people like people on Twitter or whatever, or some of you guys are recommending something to me, and then I watch it and I'm kind of underwhelmed by it. Like Hell or High Water was a big one for me.
You were disappointed in Hell or High Water?
Yeah, I was like, this is like True Grit light, is what this felt like to me. Or not True Grit, No Country for Old Men light. It was like, oh, I get it. They didn't have the balls to do the kind of like weird like existential ending, so they have the big shootout. Okay, that's fine.
Wind River?
What?
Did you see Wind River?
Yeah, I like Wind River a lot, actually.
That I feel like he knows how to write an ending.
Yeah.
And Sicario is the best one that has.
Sicario is one that's real. That's a great movie.
You know what?
3 acts. He has perfect 3 acts in Sicario. In Hell or High Water, he has.
Sicario's so good, it makes me want to watch that terrible-looking sequel they made.
Dude, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad.
You know what really bums
Talk
me
about
out?
a disappointment. Oof.
Oh my god,
I was just disappointed that they made a sequel to Sicario, because you're just like, no, this movie's like a perfect little gem. Just let it sit and be. Don't do that. Stop that.
Dude, I talked about that movie with me and my wife came out of that Soldado. And I was like 20 to 25 minutes in where she just stood silent and I just rambled on about the ending and she was like, yeah, I know. And
sorry.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it sucked. I was like, you should. That's one of the reasons why I have a website. so my wife doesn't need to listen to me ramble.
Right, because the dead-eyed stare your wife was giving you is like, I need to really put my thoughts down somewhere. That's why I do the podcast now.
It really bums me out, kind of actually what Brian is saying of like what you guys recommend or whatnot, is when like I half-heartedly recommend something and people take it as like, you said it was good, and I'm like, no, I said I enjoyed it. Like there's so many times in a movie I'd be like, yeah, I liked it. It wasn't bad. You know, like something like let's say The Conjuring 2, and then something like I saw it sucked. I'd be like, well, I wasn't recommending it to you. I said it was good. I don't fucking know.
I said I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys follow
the glamorization of these con men. I fucking like it. I don't care.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys follow Patrick Williams or Williamson.
Willems, yeah.
Willems,
yeah. Patrick Williams,
he just made a video about the perfectly good movie, like the
like
middle of the
movies.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of we've lost that in our society.
Absolutely. I think no one can accept like things are just good, like okay, or like enjoyable. It either has to be the best thing ever or the worst thing ever.
I mean, there's Parasite in where they're going for something.
Hey, wait a minute! Because it's spoilers.
It's in another language, so you know it's good. And then there's whatever fucking movie Brian saw. So you know.
So Brian, what's your most disappointing though?
Nice. Like we were talking about, I think there's a lot of recency bias here. It's easy to remember things like that recently disappointed us. I wanted to go back through and look at the decade as a whole and think of something that was like what do I consider a big disappointment? And the biggest one that jumped right out to me, once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. The fucking Hobbit trilogy. Like, talk about, like, I love Lord of the Rings. I love the extended cuts. I will dive into that anytime. Like, even though they're 4 hours long, I can just sit down and put them on and just, like, immerse myself anytime. First Hobbit movie comes out, and I think that's the only one I went and saw in the theater was the first one.
Yeah.
And then the other two I did finally catch up with on DVD, but like I just instantly, as soon as like I was like, oh wow, this isn't. It doesn't. You could tell that he came back under duress. That he was like, fine, I'll do the Hobbits. I guess I'll make 3 of them for some reason. Like
we're
it's
gonna
just
shoot them mostly.
oh my god, and so much of they're just so like dense with nonsense of shit that just does not matter and like dragging out the plot and like to go from like I said what I consider maybe some of the best movies of the previous decade.
Masterpiece. It's a masterpiece.
Yep.
Not me.
No,
it's a masterpiece. The Lord of the Rings trilogy is a fucking
masterpiece. You can watch that episode.
And
I didn't
they went
shit
off
on
the.
it at all.
But I remember like this is when I started like tracking, like being a nerd, tracking the news and all that shit. And I remember being like so fucking excited when they said it was gonna be Del Toro that's gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Fuck that movie's gonna be."
Yeah, that would have been cool. And also, just do one movie. Just do The Hobbit, a single movie.
It's a super small book.
It's a small book. Like
it's a children's story.
It's small. It's like a third of one of the volumes of Lord of the Rings. It's so small. It's like
it's actually a good book to get you into Lord of the Rings because it's
small. It's like a great book to start you off. Yeah.
So TJ, you got a big disappointment of the decade?
I mean, mine are more recent, as Brian was saying, because I have a bad memory. It has nothing to do with
those ones, like I said, there was a bunch recently that came to mind, too. The Predator, I just said it.
Yeah.
Men in Black.
Yeah.
Men in Black International.
But for one, this one is probably the biggest for me, just because it's so fresh in my brain. It Chapter 2.
Dude, terrible.
After being such a great horror movie, probably one of my favorites of the decade, if not maybe bigger.
Am I the only one of us that liked it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's parts.
That's okay. I'm fine. That's fine.
Yeah, there's parts to like, but like the ending, the whole through 2 hours and 50 something minutes or whatever.
So fucking long.
My biggest problem with
it was unnecessarily long.
My biggest problem is the way they structured it like a fucking video game.
Oh,
I just couldn't get that out of my head. Sorry, TJ.
No. It's like one of those things, and then like, I mean, Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, you were really. We went to see that. You can watch that episode right before.
Yeah. Then I'm trying to think of like movies from like. Oh, okay. Here's a good one. I thought this movie was good for what it was, and I thought they would build off of it. They took a franchise, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I liked the first one. Wasn't a lot of turtles in it. I felt like they could have built from that. But when that second fucking movie came out and they force-fed you Bebop and Rocksteady and everything from the animated...
They were like, this is what you want? Fine, here it comes.
Tyler Perry
Actually, I didn't hate Bebop and Rocksteady. What they did to Casey Jones was worse.
Yeah.
And also, I love Green Arrow. I love the Arrow on CW and Steve Amell. Sure, he is what he is, but he's definitely not a movie star.
He could have been a good Casey Jones. I don't think he was miscast. The part was just miswritten.
He was a cop.
That was a bummer of a movie. Because you're right, TJ. The first one is not a bad.
It's movie. Like the Power Rangers, to where like I thought they could build off that. It had a nice little. I mean, there is part like Megan Fox. Get her out of there. Michael Bay, them off of it.
So a little side tangent. I know we got another topic to get to, and I get to mine, but. The Power Rangers reboot they're talking about again sounds even more eye-rolling because they're just trying to appeal to nostalgia even more by going back in the 90s.
You cast Bill Hader as Alpha 5. I'm okay with that. They fucked that all up.
But
like those type of movies.
I didn't hate that one. I like it.
I'm going to make mine...
Power Rangers. That was the real problem.
Yeah. I'm going to make mine short and sweet. We all know what it is. And I'm a fool for even buying into it because I didn't, but I was falsely... going in blind, and that is 2014's Dumb and Dumber 2.
Ooh.
I saw I remember I saw the trailer, and I knew in my gut it wasn't going to be good.
That entire catheter scene.
I literally blocked the whole movie out of my head, and I still can't get rid of it. And it's the only movie that physically upsets me to this day because they could have made a good sequel. I
had about that strong of a reaction to the second Anchorman movie.
I was going to say, they did that with Anchorman, they did it with Zoolander.
Yeah, but you know what's different, though? They actually advanced Zoolander is the same thing, but Anchorman 2, they actually somewhat advanced the characters. They literally froze characters from 1994 in time, and they were like, nope, they're just older. We're gonna put them in the same clothing, like a weird SNL sketch, and I honestly, it is the most fuck that. I rather watch that bad prequel because it has more good moments in it.
Shia LaBeouf and
It does have Shia LaBeouf in a mascot costume.
The beef is in that? I never knew that.
In Dumb and Dumber.
I don't like Dumb and Dumber. I don't like the original, so.
Yeah, well, this is one thing we really disagree on. But anyway, that really pissed me off. The year was 2014, and I left the theater.
Before you do your next topic, random. What one movie from the decade? It has to be like a random movie, not blockbuster. Would you recommend our viewers to watch? Is that one movie you really love, but it's not like big name?
Yeah. Oh, I got mine.
It's
my namesake actually, Joe with Nick Cage.
That's a good one. Nick Cage.
Good one.
Very forgotten film that would have been an awards darling if he wasn't Nick Cage when the movie was released.
That's good. What about you, Brian? Recommend something.
I think probably Sisters Brothers. We were just talking about it. It's my top. It was my best movie of 2018. I
still gotta watch it.
I want to sing the praises of that one up and down until everybody's seen it.
I still gotta watch it.
It's an amazing movie about like the relationships between men and like and there's just a lot to it. It's really good.
Are you mad at me,
Also,
Brian?
Swiss Army Man, not just a Party Corpse movie.
Are you mad at me, Brian, that I haven't watched it?
Oh, Swiss Army Man, that's good.
No, I've seen Swiss Army Man, Sisters Brothers. It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. And
Maddie, it's easy to find. You should watch it. It's really good.
Anyway, sorry.
I'm gonna recommend Blue Ruin, 2013. It's a revenge movie. The reason why I love it is because usually a revenge movie is like this sleek. Like this dude has been trained for years, and he's just a badass, and he's just gonna kill everybody. And this is so fucking realistic. Everything goes to hell. The dude doesn't even know how to shoot, and the plan just goes haywire real quick. And it's very
it's very got Buzz from Home Alone.
He has Buzz. Buzz is a badass in the movie too. How about you, TJ? Recommend something. What?
Mac and Me.
No, of the decade.
From this decade.
It's timeless. Mac and Me is timeless.
Okay, great.
Joe, trivia.
We got a trivia game of the decade. This is encapsulating every year in the decade. Some are what I believe to be easy questions. Some are what I believe to be more difficult. All right. Question one, and you by rules, you just gotta shout your name like usual.
We're gonna find out why I always host the games.
What was the energy drink called in Hot Tub Time Machine?
Yusef.
Yes.
Nas.
Nope.
Oh.
TJ.
TJ, what?
Rusov?
Nope.
It's like something Russian.
Would you like?
I can only remember Brando from Idiocracy.
Okay. I will give you a multiple choice that I'm making up.
Whom? Everybody said names.
Oh, okay. So no one gets it. It's Chernobyl.
That's what it is.
I should have given you multiple choice. Some of these questions, by the way, have multiple choice.
Okay.
In The Help, what was in the pie?
Brian.
Yes.
It was shit.
Yes.
Had some shit in it.
Yes. Okay.
Great movie where a white person saves everything.
I never saw, but I could have guessed that.
Who were the co-stars in The Vow?
I don't even know what that is.
I was gonna say I don't think I've ever even heard of that movie.
Okay, I'll give you a multiple choice. Was it A, Channing Tatum and Kristen Stewart? B, Rachel McAdams and Channing Tatum? C, Ashley Simpson and Justin Timberlake?
I think it's B because Joe is bad at remembering to make up things.
Wow.
Brian's right. I'm sorry. I should have wrote that.
Those are the only names he came up with quickly.
Oh, shit. All right. This does have multiple choice, though. Name 2 of the 4 leads in Last Vegas.
Brian.
Yes.
Robert De Niro and Kevin Kline.
Yes, you were absolutely right. Can you name the other 2?
Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
And
The fuck is this movie, man?
Harvey Keitel.
yeah, I can't remember the fourth one. Who's the fourth one?
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas.
Okay. What kind of puppy did John Wick have?
Yusef.
Yes.
It's a terrier.
No.
No, TJ.
Brian. Oh,
TJ.
Beagle.
yeah.
Beagle. Yeah, I knew it was white and brown.
Okay.
terrier.
This
You dog
is
racist.
this question is legitimately multiple choice. In Jupiter Ascending, what was Sean Bean's character a mix of? Was it A, half wolf, B, half cat, C, half bee, D, half monkey?
Half cat.
Half B.
Yes.
Half bee?
Yes.
That's so stupid.
Never seen that.
It's so stupid as fucking. All right. What disability did Ben Affleck have in The Accountant?
Autism.
Brian.
You
Yeah.
said.
I mean, I thought we were supposed to say our names. You said
are.
I
cheater.
said it. Give me a point.
All right. This is a very inside baseball question, but all three of you should know this. What internet funny man was in Girls Trip, but the scenes were
Yusef.
ultimately...
Nick Mundy.
Yusef, what you got?
Big Monday.
Were you going to say that?
Yeah. He
No,
got
it
cut
wasn't.
out too.
He's a cheater.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, that's...
idea.
I got 2 points. TJ got 2 points. Brian got 4.
Brian
I got like 3 or 4 points. I'm way
Brian
out
has
of
3, TJ has 2, Yusuf has 2.
Oh my
All right,
god.
I can
So
win.
tight.
Oh my god.
All right, so this is this question's gonna be. There's 2 more questions. This is gonna be Price or Right rules for this one.
We're saying our names. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you have to say your name. How many Spider-Mans are there in total in Into the Spider-Verse?
Yusef.
Yes, it's Price or Right.
Spider-Man, Miles, Nick, the Japanese lady,
I need a number.
Gwen. 5, 6.
Wrong. Or no, we'll go on with the
With Price is Right rules, right?
yeah.
Close without going over. I'm gonna go 8.
I'm just gonna go in the middle and say 7.
Brian, it's 17.
I knew they showed a bunch of them.
It's
There's
how
a
many?
bunch of different like. Yeah.
That's what
Oh.
Google. Yeah, at least.
In the movie.
Yeah.
Like actual
He didn't
characters.
say like the stars.
I said
of the
or
movie. He
in
said
total.
how many
Fuck off.
Spider-Man
Oh, no,
are
Yusef,
featured.
I'm on your
Union,
side.
remember
You
Spider-Man
should've said, like,
2099.
You see this? That's why I included the 6 because in the.
You got the 2 regular Spider-Man. You got Miles, Gwen, the Ham.
Yeah,
the
fuck you.
Japanese girl, the noir one, Spider-Man 2099. I'm already up to 8 right there.
I'm
Brian
just saying.
won.
I
But-
preference the question by Price is Right rules for a reason.
Also, I love The Price is Right, and I was on to that shit.
I was thinking
So-
Jeopardy, where we have to give up our points for.
And our last and final question, just for fun, because Brian won.
Or if TJ gets this one, he wins.
Fair. Okay. How TJ's games work. in Avengers Endgame, after Loki escapes with the Tesseract in 2012, what year do Tony and Steve travel to next? Is it A, 1980, B, 1990, C, 1960,
C.
D, 1970?
C.
I think it's 1970.
Say your names.
Yusef.
Brian.
TJ.
All right, Yusef, what are you saying?
Damn it.
C.
You were
He said
wrong.
60. I
TJ.
think it's 1970.
TJ, what do you say?
1970.
You were right. It's 1970.
Damn, I lost to TJ by him
Again.
saying the answer I said.
And
Son of a
those,
bitch.
those are my
Alpha
most
male.
random questions of the decade.
Alpha.
Woo. That was a good one, guys. Good game.
That's
But
why
you
I
know what's
fucking
not a
love
game?
faces.
When there's a killer in your house.
In your sorority house.
And you're Margot Kidder, and Superman can't save you.
It was nice to see that girl made it through college, even though she was so drunk, to become a great reporter.
This was the move. So guys, we're talking about Black Christmas for the holidays, and for me, it's first
Original
time watch.
1974,
Yeah.
good Black Christmas.
It was the first time watch. To me, this was one of those. It was they were so 30 to 40 years old. It was almost a crime.
Set it up. Set it up.
All right. So someone might have to save me this plot synopsis. So, but the plot is a creepy caller keeps calling a sorority house, and one of the girls goes missing, and there's a big search for her with the police in it, and the calls keep coming in, and people go just missing, and it's considered one of the first slashers. Very simple premise.
Yep.
The whole time the girl's body is up in the attic and they don't know it.
It's
Stole a lot of shit from this, huh?
But
Well,
I love
actually,
that they kept getting the calls, but it's always that fucking girl with the accent, and she goes from 0 to 60, and she's like, "Hello, hello." It's like, why is that bitch always answering the phone? My God, she's destroying my ears.
She is from the It made-for-TV movie, so.
Is she?
Yeah. She's the wife.
Yeah.
What's funny about
Olivia
that?
Hussey. She was also in the very famous older version of Romeo and Juliet.
And she's
Yeah,
like
she
wearing
was.
that fanatic sweater.
You see
in
her
the beginning.
titties in that movie.
Yeah, she's naked. They showed us that in school.
Because they
Right,
showed
it's
us that
the
in
movie that we
school,
all
and
had
you
to
were
sign
like,
a
oh my
waiver to
God,
see in school.
Juliet's boobs, and
That's
they're
awesome.
nice.
Oh, man, you just gave me a... Never mind.
Like, they're very, like, she's good.
I wanted to let you guys get all that out before I told you that she was 15 when she was in that movie.
It's
Dude,
fine.
why
I
would
was
you do
15
that?
when I watched it,
Yeah, I was 15 when I watched it, too.
so I think that's fair.
This,
Not fair.
this podcast has a lot of Jewish talk and now kitty porn, and this is
You
getting
know, say
weird.
these guys apparently love underage girls taking their tops off. I don't know. Weird thing to bring up, guys. But anyway,
I could keep living my life. So, but I was genuinely surprised how creepy of a slasher this is.
So wait, yeah. So this is your first watch, right, Joe
This
and
is my
TJ?
first watch.
Yep.
both first
so
watch.
TJ
I had seen it
mentioned
once
already-
before.
TJ mentioned already, which I think is really interesting. She's like, man, John Carpenter copied so much stuff. And I
Yeah.
did more research. John Carpenter actually called the director who also directed A Christmas Story.
Bob Clark. Hell
Oh,
yeah, he did.
shit.
He called him
Two
and
Christmas classics under his belt.
Pause. In my note, the opening of the house, the outside of the house, and the way Black Christmas is written is exactly the way Christmas Story opens up the house. Kids
that's
are out.
awesome.
And also same thing with the closing. Same thing with the end where like
Yes.
you got them standing in the window with the lights and everything. There's there's some definitely parallels for
So
these.
apparently,
You just blew my mind.
So apparently, Bob Clark wanted to, do season horror type films, and John Carpenter knew of that, and he did ask about Halloween, and Bob Clark was like, "Nah, I'm over it. Like, you go make your
I'm
own."
on to something else now.
Yeah.
And but yeah, this is definitely like. It's like I think the third slasher ever made or considered to be ever made.
Yeah, I think it's an Italian movie. It's one of the first.
Well, it's Peeping
But-
Tom and Psycho.
Peeping Tom.
That's a very early one for sure.
But I think this is actually one of, if not the first movie to put the audience in the perspective of the killer.
Yeah.
Like the camera is the killer and the hands behind.
You
And
see it a couple times.
Besides,
and they really do it.
stabbing-
I mean, he does it way more than John Carpenter, even like to the point where he really never shows you the killer. Like
Nope.
you never get
Yes.
a good look at the
You
killer
only
in the
see
whole
his
movie.
eyes. Besides the
wife-
stabbing scene,
My wife.
My wife.
so the stabbing scene in Psycho, yeah, you're in the killer's like perspective.
Yeah, but my wife. This was my wife's first viewing as well, and she was more scared of the ugly Christmas tree than the actual killer. Like the Christmas tree in that fucking movie is atrocious. I know that everybody's
It tastes so bad.
it's so bad. It's horrible.
This
But-
movie
but-
is.
But what I wanted to say is like she was dead set on the killer being the boyfriend, because he's wearing the same sweater.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
kind of the same haircut, and
It's
I
a
kept
solid
telling,
red herring for sure.
yeah, no, and I kept telling her, look at the eyes. And they're not. He has blue eyes, and he's like, "Well, the motherfucker could use contact lenses." And I was like, "I don't think he's going through all that trouble hiding in the attic and changing contact lenses."
The contacts.
This movie is cripplingly 70s.
What? Good point, Joe.
Cripplingly 70s?
It's cripplingly 70s. Like, as you said, like, your wife being, like, the Christmas tree and, like, his atrocity. Like, it's so, like, just their style, and I can't hold it against it because it's the time it was made, but...
Can we talk about the house mother?
Oh, she's my favorite part of
the
the movie.
penguin?
Speaking of the style, I know you're not dissing on dude's fur coat that he's strutting around in the whole movie. Like, the hero of the movie
By the way,
rocks that man fur.
Well, this movie
with
stars...
the unibrow and the fur coat. Too much hair in the movie.
This movie stars the god, Saxton. From
John
Nightmare.
Saxton. Hell yeah, it
Saxton.
does. Kicking ass. I was going to say, why don't you just karate chop this motherfucker and be done with it?
I mean, it's a really good slasher. I know I'm just repeating myself, but
It's
with
great.
a nice pro-choice
creepy.
undertone.
but it's funny
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. It's got a nice message for sure.
Well, Roe v. Wade just happened a year before this movie was released.
Yeah, I was surprised how, and I was talking this with my wife as well.
My wife?
And that, you know, the 70s was one of those peaks in our society, and where, like, we're currently in a peak right now in terms of feminism, and this movie feels very feminist in terms that you know, they're drinking, they're fucking, they're just openly talking about abortions, about goals, about me having my own life and not having to marry.
Well, I like that they make
douche.
the point to, like, get into it enough too, where it's not just she wants to have an abortion. They, like, stop to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, no, I'm gonna give up my dreams, and we're gonna get married. And she's like, that's not what I want. I don't want you to stop doing what you're doing. I sure as hell don't want to stop what I'm doing. Like,
so he can have his own bathroom.
Dude, and he's a horrible piano player.
Yeah.
I thought he was bombing that audition on purpose. I was like, is he doing this on purpose? Or is this really because she sprung the abortion thing on him?
I guess
or like,
I guess we have to backtrack to what TJ said. We have to talk about that fucking house mother, though.
I love the house mother.
House mother gave me a lot of good ideas on where to hide my booze bottles.
If you were to hide a booze in a book, what subject matter would you choose?
I would say,
gotta be something that seems really boring that nobody's gonna want to open.
That'd be very dense.
The boozing in this is a little ridiculous. You had the one scene where Margot Kidder's feeding a kid booze.
Oh,
that's amazing. I love it.
Just feeding him booze.
You're in the background, just like letting that kid sip on that beer.
And the dad is just like judging the fuck out of everything that's happening around him.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, that dude's a dweeb. Like, I mean, I'm sorry your daughter got murdered, but you're a fucking dweeb.
I'm sorry your daughter
I love how they expected, like, who I expected, like, the final girl to essentially be is the one to get fucking murdered. And brought up to the attic.
Well, yeah, she's like the nice virgin girl, and she's the one who gets taken out first.
And there's no tropes at that time for, like, slashers, too. You know, we're not...
Right, yeah. The whole, like, virgin being the survivor wasn't even a thing. There wasn't any things.
The survivor... Well, I don't know if she survives. Spoilers. But the survivor is the one that wants to have an abortion.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they also said the one of the tropes that I hate, but this one I forgive, obviously, because it's probably one of the first ones, is the cop car outside that gets murdered.
Oh, the cop getting murdered in the cop car? Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna have a cop get murdered, you gotta have that stupid cop from who didn't, like, take him seriously when they first reported it, and who Margot Kidder tells her that his phone number starts with fellatio and stuff. You gotta kill that. If you're gonna kill a cop, you kill that dumbass, right? Like,
Dash.
My one question, though, just kind of jumping around, is did abortion girl kill her boyfriend, her baby daddy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
okay, I couldn't. Like, they make that vague. It was kind of like vague, like.
But he was asking for it. Why the fuck is he, like, breaking windows and going inside?
my one big criticism was like, how does he know she's in the basement? If he just like showed up at the house
That's
and
why
he's
my
not
wife.
the killer,
That's why
why does he know she's down in the basement? Why is he even looking for her down there?
Well, I had two things written down that I had like questions about, and then they answered them right after. This kind of answered it / didn't answer it. So, spoilers right before I get into that. The child they're looking for the first girl in the park, but they're also at the same time there's this little subplot of a teenage girl's missing.
Yeah,
a distraction.
Yeah, so they do this thing where they're all at the park and they're looking for the girl and they find a body. Obviously, it's a little girl. Spoilers. And then there's a scene.
And actually, sorry, TJ, that's a great scene too.
Yeah, and then 20 minutes, they don't show you anything. It's just screaming and reactions. And then 20 minutes later, Jesus Christ, while all this happening, which I forget is in the 70s. There's no Twitter, there's no internet, and there's a group of kids caroling at the house like 9:30 at night, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Why are parents letting the kids out? And then they have the woman run up and get all the kids in the car, and then she's like, oh, the kid was murdered. So when
but the lady, the girl that you saw the boobs when she's a little kid knows that little kids died, and she's like happily listening to kids singing
to it
instead of being like, hey, I know things, you shouldn't be out here. But she's like,
this is really helping take my mind off the child.
There's some goofy shit.
So when she finally sees the two friends dead and she reacts to the guy behind the door with the red eyes, they had a great scene running down the stairs.
Such a good scene too.
They establish way early that the house mother struggles with the front door, and like they make a point a couple different times to show that the front door doesn't open easily, so that like she panics when she gets there and she can't, so she bolts upstairs and stuff.
So the whole time she's like screaming, and then she goes in the basement. She's still screaming while the guy's trying to break in the door. Then she stops, and then when her boyfriend breaks in the window, which I still don't like, I get it, but I don't, because he does the creepy like looks around and eventually breaks it down. He's like, I heard you screaming. Why are you down here? And you're like,
but he's so creepy too.
Maybe
they pump it to 11. He's like, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Why are you hiding there?
Oh yeah,
It's
you
very
definitely.
much like
I would say up until the very final reveal.
I thought it was him.
You know,
I thought it was him. I thought she got him. I was like, oh, it really was him. You know,
I didn't because of the fucking eyes.
You said
when he kills Margot, when he kills Lois Lane, they show a light on his eyes, and it's just pure black.
Yeah.
And his eyes are like baby blue. And I was like, oh.
Well, what it reminds, that one scene reminds me so much of, I don't know why I just thought of it, the fucking basement scene from Zodiac, of the tension with the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's that same kind of thing of like, what is this guy going to do when he's not doing anything? He's just creepy.
He's like, house. Nobody.
So there's like
there's a great scene where they're on the phone with the cops talking about how they didn't get the trace, and you just see his shadow come in, and like he's listening to them talk. Yeah. They never focus in. They don't give you his perspective. They just it sits on the same shot, and the shadow just shows up on the far way behind them. And they just have the scene, and it's back there, and then it goes away. It's just so, it makes your skin crawl.
So
the highlight.
I want to talk about the
killer. Let TJ get his highlight out, Joe.
I'm sorry, you didn't hear him. His mic
fucking Santa.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, TJ, what's your highlight?
The phone calls.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I want to talk about the killer, more so his phone calls.
Yeah.
This was the mistake they made with the 2006 remake. They did a Rob Zombie whole deal, and they kind of tried to tell you like way too much about the killer and like give you all this like backstory and stuff. I was like, nah, that's not what we need here.
I wanted to bring this up is I only had read about it is apparently the backstory that the 2006 one was picked up from the notes of the original.
Oh yeah.
Not saying they should be doing it, but like
the only good thing was that Andrea Martin was back and she played the house.
But what is the backstory then that the notes give?
You know, I'm honestly not sure. I didn't see 20
because I've seen this movie a lot. Like it's one of my legit favorite movies of like horror, and like 10 years ago, or so I read on the internet, like fan theories. I was very into fan theories.
One fan theory I really like.
So one of the fan theories is that he is a failed abortion, like the actual killer is a failed abortion, and they go into like, what did you do with the baby and blah blah blah. That's like kind of the parents talking, whatever the case may be, but it still doesn't justify why he picked that sorority house. My wife said that his mom was from that sorority house, so he's kind of like trying to kill his mom over and over again. That's why he's killing all those sorority girls. But still, like, it's very coincidental that the final girl is also trying to have an abortion, and the killer has this
Where's the baby?
abortion background.
Stop.
But yeah, it's. I think that's the fan theory behind it. I don't know what's the official one, that the 2006 one.
I don't know the official one either. The one fan theory I really liked that I had read leading up to this episode is that he grew up in that house. Oh. And that's why he was just kind of like coming home, and that's like, kind of almost like a Michael Myers situation, like, and that's why the attic has all those like weird toys and fucking like rocking horses and things in it, because it was from the previous owner's like childhood. And I was like, it was a solid theory. I mean, it's
kind of ruining it all for me. I just kind of want to be a psycho.
Oh yeah, that's why I prefer him to be just a
it doesn't matter what was behind the scenes or anything. It just like the movie is what it is, and I love it.
I'm just asking what the 2006.
Like, you don't know why he's doing it. You don't know what. Yeah.
Although
wooden lattice is a bad idea. All right.
And one of the things that I loved about this movie, like being a professional movie critic as I am, is the editing through sound. Especially that's why I love the reveal of the kid in the park, because they edited when the mom is about to scream, they edited with the phone ringing, and they cut to the phone ringing instead of the actual scream, and it's so jarring in the moment, and then you get to hear like the fucked up things that the dude says. So your mindset is in the killing of a little girl. Like, they didn't even show it to you, but you're already upset about imagining a dead girl in the park, and then you're hearing a fucking grown-ass man do baby voices and pick cunt, motherfucker. And you're like, what the fuck is happening in this movie? So it's
well, I like the way that he does the multiple voices, but so then there's actual times in the movie where he's calling and he's killing somebody while he's on the phone.
Yeah.
And she still doesn't know because he's been doing multiple voices the whole time. So it's like she can't even register that there's two people there.
Dude,
and I love the freak out scene as well. Like when he loses control in the attic alone, he's just like just throwing things around. So it's a good movie.
The long shots, to me, the creepiest parts of the movie to me were the long fucking shots just on the suffocated dead girl in the chair that just like
with the bag over her face.
House, and how it ended on that fucking shot with the voiceover of like, I'm gonna kill you, like all that at the end. That legitimately creeped me out. Where I watched it at night, not thinking this would be that scary. Where I then put on like a sitcom afterwards before I just walked to bed, because I
was worried that it didn't merit like such a, because I usually like watch it either once a year or once every other year. But I watched it for my horror movie marathon that I did in October. And I was like worried that I would be like bored because I just recently watched it, and I was just as entertained and just as pulled into the world completely. Like
this reminded me like the first time I saw Halloween as like a kid, where just like all the noises, those phone calls gave me chills. Where I'm just
every time the phone rang, you're like, oh fuck.
I'm just gonna say it. These 70s horror movies just hit different.
Yeah, they do.
Sure, absolutely.
They like the most part like.
And there's no gore.
Flashy about it. It's so like gritty.
There's absolutely no, like, the most gore you get is the house mother hanging from the hook.
Yeah, that's
not even.
Maybe the.
I would say when he's stabbing her with the unicorn is a little bit of a bloody scene, but it's real red. It's not real like hyper realistic either. You don't see a lot of like penetration.
I'll say, can we talk about how awful slash, I guess, okay the cops are in this movie.
Well, John Saxon's doing his best, but everybody
Yeah.
else just sucks.
It's like one of those things to where they're sitting in the room, the doctor, this is after the whole movie, so the woman, the final girl kills her boyfriend, which you all think is a killer at the point in time.
Even the cops are all
What a
talking
rough
about
couple
he's
of
the one
days for
that
that
did
dude.
everything.
Yeah, she goes into shock, I guess, and passes out, and the doctor's like, well, she's on sedative, she's going to be out for 4 hours, and even when she wakes up, she's still going to be groggy, and you can't talk to her. So they all just walk out, leave the house, shut the lights
They
off.
just leave her alone.
Just leave her. Mind
They
you.
turn off the lights, too, so she's going to wake up alone in the dark.
So right before that, another cop pokes his head and he's like, hey, Lieutenant, we got to send all the bodies to so-and-so hospital because the morgue doesn't have enough places for all these. Which I'm thinking they found all the bodies in the house because they're cops. Yeah, one person gets murdered in the house, they look in the entire house because they're cops. And then it just goes to the end scene where you hear the guy mumbling in the attic, and the two bodies are just still sitting.
He's opening, like he starts to open. He's coming back. He's gonna get Olivia Hussey. I was like, in my mind, he gets her probably.
Oh yeah, he kills her for sure. He's alive. But I love how the camera keeps.
She's
like,
sedated
panning.
and he's still alive. So yeah, she's dead.
No, but the camera keeps panning to like open spaces, and you keep like, oh, they're gonna reveal the fucking killer.
Yep.
And then they show the curtains, and you're like, he's behind the curtains. What the fuck? And then they show the stairs, and it's like, he's in the fucking attic again. Like nobody looked in the attic.
Hanging around.
The cop is smoking a cigarette on the front step, and then the phone
And
rings.
the body, like I told the guys in our pre podcast meeting, the body's like legit on a window.
Yeah.
Like somebody in the sidewalk.
Yeah, I wanted to go back and watch and look at it if you could, because the way they do the final shot and it pulls out, like keep an eye on it. You can see her up, but I'd like to go back and look at any other wide shots of the house and see, can you catch her? Is she always there? Like,
yeah, she's always there. What I was expecting is just the trained horror movie brain was like the scene, actually the comedic scene with the house mother and the taking the bottle out. They keep on the mirror, and I'm like, there's gonna be we're gonna get a reveal of getting killed behind the mirror.
Classic mirror.
Just because there is tension in that scene.
No, sure.
There's tension in a lot of it where they just like
but
Brian
there's
said, like
so much comedy in especially her scene, and I was so surprised how tense I was.
well, there's like Brian was saying in the one scene where he comes in as a shadow. Which I said about John Carpenter stealing a lot from this. John Carpenter took from it, but then added, because there's like scenes in Halloween where they just do a back shot and just all you see is like the quarter of the like Michael Myers. Like in this movie, you look for it, but you don't see it because they didn't use it yet. You know what I mean? Yeah. But what you're looking for, you're like, oh, he's gonna poke up in that corner, that long shot. You're like, all right, he didn't, but that would have been cool if he did. Like shit like that, especially Staircase.
It's a really good movie.
It's super good.
So anyone have any? Let's do our rankings. If anyone has
rankings,
rankings.
All right, so I'll lead off on it. I give it 8.3 abortions out of 10.
Whoa!
Jesus Christ! You made me drop my beer. I'll give
Goddamn.
I'm gonna give this a clean 8.7 drunk Margot Kidders. And I know.
Yeah, we didn't talk enough about how good Margot Kidder is.
She's great.
She's awesome.
She looks
so good.
Really good in it too.
She steals she pretty much steals any scene she's in, and like you equal parts enjoy her, but also know how much it would suck to be around her. Like
she seems like such a bitch.
I would always be that girl with the afro. Be like, you're drunk, go to bed.
Yeah. They remade this
Andrea
one
Martin,
again, right?
Tommy
There's a
Lee.
new one that's coming out, right?
Yeah, it came out this last weekend and flopped super hard.
It bombed real bad.
But they flipped it to where the women like beat the shit out of the murderer at some point.
Right. It's got like a not, and it's not a subtle female empowerment message.
Yeah, I think it's name only too.
There was a moment where I thought, like at some point, one of the girls was going to be in trouble by this guy, Margot Kidder, in a drunk stupor, was going to come out and beat the shit out of him, but didn't happen. But
no, they weren't ready. They weren't quite ready to take it there yet. But.
Clean 8.7.
I'll give it a 9. Rum infused with toilet water. Out of 10.
Sherry.
Yeah, you want to make sure that's screwed on real tight.
Real. And she just went straight lip to bottle too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
she did.
But she did the smart thing where she
It's ass
rinsed.
to mouth, baby.
I was expecting her
Goddamn.
to rinse her mouth out with a toothpaste and that, and then just swallow it like a real alcoholic. She spit it out. And then
She
took
spit it out and then took a smaller drink. She
Yeah.
was like,
So
okay, just a little.
So
nip,
weird.
just a little nip.
Oh,
Brian.
Oh, I'm the last one to rank it. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty high. I'll give it like an 8, like just a flat 8, I think. You know?
Yeah, you're my can. Like it's like I'm definitely watching this movie again, like Brian
that's
did.
good.
Like I
I'm
said,
gonna go
I
out
think I
fine.
saw it for the first time just a few years ago. Me and my wife, we also a couple years ago like went out of our way to watch as many Christmas horror movies as we could, and only a couple of them made it to my must-buy list, and this was one. So when it got picked, it was like, boom, I can get that Blu-ray. I got the excuse now.
There
Like,
you go. Yeah.
I am gonna watch the 2006 remake just because I have a weird
you should
affinity.
give it a chance.
I have a
think I might do
weird
it, too.
affinity. I have a weird affinity for that era's horror, like the mid 2000s, like weird like horror movies, because they're all so glossy and the same and trying to do the same thing, and I do find them like be fun,
Like
but
what I would call the post the Ring
Yes.
era. Like
they're honestly like not. I don't think one of them. Well, The Ring is, but one of those mid 2000 horror movies are actually scary. They're all so palatable and poppy that you're like, yeah, whatever.
Darkness
Anyway.
Falls.
So, Yusuf, your episode's next.
So we're gonna take a break for a while. Be on the
Back
lookout
to Jack.
for Santa Bracket coming out next week. But then we're gonna take a break till the new year. And I decided, since these bitches are always complaining that I pick good movies, or at least movies that I know they will like, I decided
Jimmy's
to.
trying to get those softballs.
Yeah, I pick good movies. Sorry, I have good taste. But I wanted to do a classic and an indie this year. And I'm going to pick a movie that I think none of you have watched, or at least 2 of you. That's my goal this year. So at least 2 of you, this is a new movie for you.
Mhm.
But I also want material for the fucking topic, because I don't want it to be like Godfather, and it was like, yeah, it's a good movie, and the podcast
What is
ends. Harold and Maude. We're gonna
Ooh,
watch
yeah,
Harold
alright.
and fucking Maude.
Is that about a
okay.
kid and an old woman
I'm into
fucking?
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. Get in hot.
Oh,
It's
what?
good
You guys
fucking
don't
movie.
have the Criterion Collection DVD?
It's on Criterion Channel as well.
No. I don't.
So that's where I watch it, because fuck physical media. So yeah, we're watching Harold and Maude, baby. Get your classic
Cool,
on.
cool. They talk about
That's
that, and there's something about Mary. Cool.
Every
Yeah,
time I
well,
hear Harold,
Anyway,
Also,
Where could I
Bud
read
Cort,
about
who
it?
plays Harold, is in Dogma. He's the old man god who gets put in a coma.
where can everyone find you, Yusuf?
WhyILoveMovies.com. At WhyILoveMovies on Twitter.
Brian.
And in San Antonio, Mexico, you can find me around.
Brian.
Oh, yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Hercules. The backlog of uncut bunkers are no more. They're hidden. They're behind the vault. You can still find edited episodes on YouTube though if you really want. But Hercules on Twitter. That's where you can find me.
TJ.
you guys are on Flyover State of Film YouTube now. You guys can find me at TJ Dex on Twitter. Make sure to check out our Best Movie Santa Bracket coming up on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
whenever you want to drop it.
Yeah. Whenever we drop, and then we're doing check
You
out
need
our
that content. You gotta ignore your family and shit.
That drip, drip, drip.
Brian's wearing a Good Point Joe shirt right now. Check it out on TeePublic.
Yeah, check out that Good Point Joe shirt.
The link
baby.
might be in the information if I remember. Other than that, contact Joe for it. Brian.
Bye. Well, Joe, where can the people find you?
You
They
guys
can
exit
find me
Joe's
having,
show, not even let him-
They could find me having a Merry Christmas at Chendango1 and on Twitter. Just
Fucking Home Alone 3 gonna win this year?
Guys, should we sing out? Should we sing a carol on the way out?
Yeah.
Feliz Navidad.
No, like how about like
God
we
knows,
wish
please.
you a Merry Christmas.
It's
we
on-
wish
In
you a
Spanish or no
Merry
deal?
3.
Jingle bells, jingle
How
bells.
about we do the one, the
Right.
Hawaiian one? What's the one?
Tia, you can cut this out.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year.
All right,
Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas, everybody.
Malaki Laki Laka.
All right.
Wild way.